He died the way most office drones live, on autopilot. One minute, Shirou is riding a bus to nowhere, the next he's wide awake in a white void across from a white-haired idol who calls himself God. No thunder, no halos, just a clipboard and a bored expression like HR is about to onboard a soul. Here's the offer. A re-roll in the fantasy world of Maddius with skills of his choice. No chosen one sword, no prophecy. Shirou picks utility, search to ping valuables, scan to read what they are, water/light/heat control for survival, barriers for safety, a little controlled flight, and the clutch item, a bottomless magic bag. God scribbles like a producer blocking a scene and snaps. Darkness, air, pines, the quiet of a new world. He wakes in a green cathedral. The first cry he makes is not poetic, it's search. Nothing happens. Panic flutters. Did that idol scam him? He tries scan, still nothing. He rolls through synonyms until the magic finally hums to life. Search lights up the forest like a treasure map. Scan overlays tidbits. Edible, toxic, rare, worthless. Suddenly his empty life has a checklist, and it's glorious. By sundown, he's smuggler-bag full and trudging toward a small village. The gate guard blinks up at the tallest stranger he's seen this year and asks if Shirou's a swordsman. Gatherer, Shirou says, and the word lands like a plot twist. In the central shop, he carefully places an oval stone on the counter. The clerk peers closer and grins. Rare anteater cast, pristine grade. 5 silvers slide across the wood. That's dinner, a bed, and the power to choose. When Shirou empties the rest of the hall, the shopkeeper has to steady himself. The quality is absurd. He hires Shirou on the spot for myithil near the icy range and quietly warns, monsters haunt those paths. 20 grand if he returns with the right vein. That number tickles every nerve in a former salaryman who counted paychecks like calendar pages. The inn has a bed and a tin tub, and the revelation that in this world, bathing is a luxury. Nobles enjoy it. Commoners do their best with rags. Shirou stares at the tub, shrugs, and invents a shower with a crooked smile and a water weave that arcs clean from air to skin. The ache leaks out of him. He sleeps like someone who earned his rest and rises before dawn. The forest gives and gives. Herbs, resin, mushrooms that only a careful scan can separate from never eat this. Then the air changes. A stink of wrong pulls him into a bush, and he finds a decomposed guard, armor pitted, sword snapped. He doesn't run. He works in silence, digging, setting the broken blade as a marker, breathing a small promise into the dirt. The world watches and says nothing back. That night, he cooks stew under a patient barrier, broth thickened with greens and a little meat, and the first sip tastes like choosing a different life. He pushes toward the haunted forest, where trunks stand like old bones and fog eats the road. Light magic glows at his fingertips. He should turn back, but turns in instead, gathering what others skip out of fear. Near the exit, the ground betrays him. A ledge crumbly as stale cake gives way, and he drops into darkness, heart in his throat, brain catching up just in time. Flight, slow down, land soft. He breathes, laughs because it's that, or scream, and opens the light again. The cave is a dream for a gatherer, veins everywhere. He pries myithil free and pockets it, then a rumble shivers his skinned knuckles. Earthquakes are nature's way of saying leave, but another glint lures him deeper. Blue light blooms at the tunnel's end. He turns a corner and forgets to breathe. A lake sits in the heart of stone, blue like a blade's edge, saturated with raw mana. SS tier by Scan's cold judgment. He is calculating vials and seals when the water draws itself into a mountain's shadow and stands up. The black dragon is not a jump scare. It is old power moving like a tide. It speaks with the confidence of a king who no longer needs a crown and asks a question no one expects to hear. Can you help me hatch an egg? Shirou bows instinctively, the reflex of a man who has bowed to middle managers for years, and says yes before fear talks him out of it. The dragon offers payment he can't fathom, stacked myithil, enough to replace the kingdom's stones if he wanted. The egg is heavy, cold, stubborn. He cups it, dials heat into a steady cradle, and the shell drinks greedily. The chamber blurs. For a heartbeat, he's in warm water, and a black-haired figure materializes like a glitch. Another god, amused and warning that Shirou's little innovations tug at currents bigger than he understands. Then breath returns, light breaks, and the egg fractures with a chirp that doesn't belong in a cave this vast. Bee spills out on wobbly legs, shakes liquid diamonds from her wings, and sneezes a tiny puff. Her name? The dragon asks. Shirou chokes out B, because the moment sits on his chest. The dragon smirks. Fathers like to smirk when they hand you responsibility, and declares B will travel with Shirou. A snap of magic threads the mana lake to Shirou's bag. No leaks, no limits, and the dragon slides back under, trusting a stranger with its legacy. Above ground, camp feels warmer. B knocks over a pot with an eager nose. Shirou catches it and improvises a stew lesson with a dragonling who thinks too hot is a dare. She burns her tongue, glares at the ladle, and accepts cooling breaths with wounded dignity. Somewhere between recipes and rules, he sets the one that matters most. No reckless flights, no bites. Listen when I say stop. She falls asleep mid-lecture, snoring like soft bellows. He tucks a cloak around her and stares up at stars that look somehow closer than they used to. Morning invites trouble. He tags a rock falcon with a shielded feint and ice spikes. Clean, fast, efficient, like he's been doing this for years. Snake-tailed wolves boil out of the brush, and he shifts again. Body lighten, body harden, rise and kick, land and drive. The last one crumples, and he finally thinks about breakfast. Then B decides to help by lifting him into the sky. She overdoes it. He yells. She panics. He falls. The canopy slows him, branches bruising but forgiving, and B arrives smothering him in apologies the way only a baby dragon can. Somewhere in the laughter and scolding, the world feels less like a game and more like a life. Not far on, a ragged elf leans against a tree, stomach growling with the roar of a beast. Water first, then food. He hands over his lunchbox without speeches. She devours it, manages a prickly thanks, and sprints off with her pride in one piece. Shirou watches her go, amused, then checks B's instinct to chase with one word and a scratch under the chin. Progress. The road to Tormi is kinder in company. A unicorn-drawn caravan pulls up with Palom, a weaver who follows Warm Seasons, Eliza, and their kids Yunnan and Kane. A crystal bell hangs in the carriage. It chimes near Malice. It stays quiet for Shirou. He rides along, proves he's no wizard by being better than one in a kitchen, and feeds them something that makes Palom weepy, because dried meat wears you down in ways hunger never could. At night, he drops barrier stones around camp, tells the kids B will warn them of anything the stones miss, and pretends not to notice that the family trusts B first, stones second, him third. The laughter, the silly camp songs, the awkward dancing, none of it would matter to the man he used to be. It matters now. At Tormi's gate, they trade goodbyes, and inside the shop, Shirou slides a rock across a counter and shifts the shopkeeper's entire day. Magical myithil, not just myithil, a thing legends are built on. The old man recovers and tells him a truth no one coping with small pawns likes to hear. Take this to Beltsum if you want to deal with people who can afford you. Join a guild, learn the deeper rules before they bite you. He packs to leave and can't, not without paying back what the village didn't know it gave him. On his table sits a lantern. In his pocket sits a myithil core. He fuses them with a craftsman's care into a barrier lantern and delivers it to the gate with a grin that says, "Please don't make this a scene." The shopkeeper recognizes the core, tries to shove it back into Shirou's hand, and Shirou is already running, because gratitude is easier when you don't have to look it in the eye. On the road, a trio of C-rank crabs makes the mistake of mistaking him for lunch. B floors 2 with a supersonic burst. Shirou lines up on the third like it's a fastball and sends it to the great seafood boil in the sky. That night, he cracks shells and simmers legs in a rich, seasoned stock until the steam smells like a win. It tastes like one too. Belsim rises out of water and stone. Fortress walls, markets that speak 10 languages at once. Immigration wands whistle over him. B gets a tag because the city likes its dragons cataloged. He stands in the street as the world races around him. The Adventurers Guild pulls him in with the buzz of steel and the promise of work that matters. Arya, a bunny-eared receptionist with a smile that has processed 1,000 disasters, guides him through registration. He names the monsters he's handled. Someone scoffs until he thunks a crab on the counter and the table loses the strength of its convictions. A beastman with a truth sense reads him blue, not here for trouble, so invitations start flying. He deflects them all. Party work can wait. For now, he's F rank, armed with a skill set Belsom doesn't see every day. He starts delivering the good stuff. Mushrooms even picky clients call flawless, herbs that dilute clean and strong, crystal that holds a charge like it was born for it. Word travels, and because some miracles are practical, he quietly rigs the guild bath with water recycling magic, so busy adventurers can soak without thinking about who used the tub first. Respect spreads faster than rumor. Clay slides into his life with the ease of a veteran who's seen too much. Silver scales, old scars mapped along his back like roads you'd rather not remember. He's heard things, like the story of a slum dweller walking out of a fever grateful and unpaid, and he warns with a soldier's clarity, hiding strength has a way of painting targets on your back. The guild starts pressing Shirou to rank up. He smiles and stalls. Freedom matters. So does learning without the wrong eyes watching. The horn sounds at dusk. Chaos rushes the hall in boots and orders. Scouts report a goblin horde pushing the west bridge. Guildmaster Grit calls D ranks and above, and then, because reality never reads the manual, points at Shirou too. Outside the walls, the air smells like metal and fear. Moo, a young healer with mouse-bright eyes, shakes until her teeth click. Shirou guides her back to basics. Breathe, stick to the wounded, count who you can save, let the fighters hold the line. She squeezes his hand and nods. He lays a barrier dome over the triage tents and runs. The bridge is a meat grinder. Standard goblins, the kind that die when you do your job, and then the kind that don't. Hobgoblin leaders, whose swings rattle shields and confidence. Shirou moves like a surgeon in a crowd, hardening skin to intercept, lightening limbs to cut angles, picking pockets of pressure and popping them so the wall breathes again. B strafes through the column, flips a flank, screams a dare, and never strays so far, a whistle can't pull her back. But lines are stories, and this one has a bad chapter. Clay roars to plug a breach, and then his knees go glass. Pain pulls him toward the ground. The hobgoblin sees it and charges. Shirou doesn't think, he acts. He splashes Mana Lake water across Clay's back and drives healing like a blade. The air bends. The scales remember something the body forgot. Clay's spine lights with old code, and he stands taller, broader, half-dragon and very angry. The next few seconds are pure momentum. The hobgoblin's blade meets a spear that wasn't there, and the horde learns what it feels like to lose certainty. When it ends, the bridge is a ruin of wood and bodies and breathing men who didn't think they'd still be breathing. B lands on Shirou's shoulder too hard, and he lets her, because shaking is allowed after you survive. Night wraps the city in exhausted quiet. In a room that smells faintly of steam and herbs, Clay stands with a towel over his shoulders and a weight off them. He admits what he didn't say on the wall. His blood remembers dragons, but he's always been afraid that if he wakes that side, he won't be the one piloting anymore. Shirou tells him the truth he lives by now. Power without control is a threat. Power with a purpose saves people you can name. Clay nods like a man who wants to try and doesn't yet know how. Then he asks the question that wandered around him all day. Who are you, really? Shirou answers with the only sentence that explains the shape of his choices. He died once, woke here, and decided the second life would be built on useful things and small mercies. Clay laughs, because somehow that's the least strange thing he heard today. Morning comes on the smell of bread and the murmur of a city that decided to exist again. Shirou buys a book on guild law he absolutely will not read all of, picks up new requests because clients now insist on the gatherer, who doesn't cut corners, and feeds B with water that glows faintly blue in glass. In the square, whispers trail him, about the dragonling, about the barrier lantern he left in some village most of them will never see, about the bath that never smells like regret anymore. Above all, that chatter is a knock only he can hear. Two gods arguing in the space between worlds about a mortal who keeps refusing to play the part they wrote. He pockets the sound and looks toward the horizon anyway. Belchim is just a first chapter. If he ever chooses to stop hiding, the page won't just turn, it'll tear. There's your recap. A salaryman who didn't want to be a hero is becoming the kind of person heroes rely on. One quiet craft, one good meal, one hard fight at a time. The village he protected won't know the scale of the gift until the day the lantern flares and a monster can't cross a line. The guild he upgraded won't know how rare it is to find someone who can make work feel human. And B will grow, because that's what dragons and stories do when you feed them right. The only question left is how long Shirou can keep dodging the light before it lands on him anyway, and what the black-haired god will do when he does.